got mail. Good morning, everybody. You're tuned to Computers 2K now, the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next hour, along with Spence.
G'day, mate.
Good morning. And Gal is here.
Hello, hello. Good morning.
Hello. Our number is 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And today's show is made possible by Vmix Software and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. And I just noticed that Facebook is not working. It's giving me an error, but it's fine. YouTube and Twitch are working fine. I'm going to try it one more time. Say stream. And it worked. Oh, okay. First time it didn't work. No errors this time. Oh, it says video unavailable. Interesting. Even though it's streaming. Okay. So, what's happening?
Drones are flying over my house right now.
Who?
Drones.
Drones?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And flying all over the place.
So there's some really interesting things that are happening around this. I mean, the government basically, we don't know what it is, but it's not a problem.
Yeah.
Which is just stupid.
Yeah. But it's
like,
not a problem.
Yeah. But there are indications, people have found things like the FAA actually had notices to airmen out there for activity in the area. So they know what's happening. It goes out, you put out information. It's like they really expect us to be this stupid that you can't see this. So that one of the things that people said that they thought it was testing a couple of different things. They're testing either a new type of surveillance. They're testing one person said that these are the new drones that will be used to detect gamma rays to look for nuclear threats. So very interesting speculation going on. But they're testing something. They're doing something. It's obvious.
Yeah, but to test it for that, they don't need to bring it over neighborhoods and places like that. They can do it anywhere.
Well, why did they let a Chinese balloon go all the way across the whole country before they shot it down? I mean, it's like
right.
It's the ineptitude of some of the people that are running this stuff. But supposedly this is a test of some new technology that
interesting.
And then one poster said they're preparing for a major announcement about something they're going to be doing for protection because of the level of terrorist threat now in the United States has gone astronomical because there's planning all over the world to have like a big day of attacks that they're finding out about. They said this is very interesting. Osama bin Laden's son, he has two sons. One of them is the more vocal one who is more visible in activities. The second one is the one who is quietly creating coalitions between all of the different terrorist organizations around the world to get them to work together. And the terror alerts around the world, the chatter and all that stuff has gone crazy, saying that they're preparing to do something globally. And
I don't know.
This could be related to
they
that.
They never been able to work together, and I don't think they ever will. So I'm not.
That's what's interesting.
These are all guesses and stuff.
It is. But if it's possible, if they can actually do this, and
there's nothing. Spence, there's nothing wrong with getting new technology to sense and all that, but that all that other stuff, to scare and create chaos. Nah, I don't. Nah.
Well, I'd rather make it cause people to be prepared than to People just sit back and say it can't happen.
Well,
So,
how are you preparing?
no, I'm not saying
No, no.
me,
How are you preparing?
how am I preparing?
Yeah.
I'm prepared for if food
It's
sources go away. I mean, I have things that I can do.
yeah, but I
So,
mean, these are things that we do for weather events and stuff. But against, nah, never mind.
well,
Morning,
whatever.
morning,
Yeah.
Mr. Craig. Good morning.
Oh, hello. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
We're talking about drones.
Oh
So
yeah, good times.
while you were talking about all of the conspiracies, my microphone died out, not allowing me to butt in.
Oh,
Now, see,
No, it's
that's what
fine.
they did. Well,
Yeah.
they control your microphone.
Well, there's one thing that you didn't take into account, that what they're testing is not technology, but public acceptance.
Public reaction. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's what one of
good
the
point.
commentators I was reading said it's exactly that, because they're preparing you for a new level of something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Everybody will have their own personal drone assigned to them, and it will
well,
station keep around them the whole day. So,
right. And the sun will never come up.
nope.
I just it's so absurd. The fact
Well,
that the U.S. government says it's not theirs, yet they're allowing these things to swarm over the United States, is just the most hilarious thing in the world. The fact that people are like, "Oh yeah, sure, it's definitely not the U.S. government." Oh, okay, sure, sounds great.
Nick, I
Is it
mentioned
across the
before.
United States, or is it like in a very
It,
localized
it's
area?
apparently now all the way from like parts of like Connecticut, Massachusetts, down to the D.C. area. It's, I mean, at that you're probably talking about 6, 7. If you draw a straight line the way the crow flies, probably 700 miles or so. So I find that to be pretty funny.
Is
But
it
Nick, I mentioned
migration time for birds,
drone
and
migration.
is
Yeah,
it just
drone
bird
migration.
watchers? Is it just
Well,
bird
well,
watchers?
you are familiar with the pigeons are not real crowd,
Yeah.
right? They think
Yeah.
that there's no such thing as birds; they're all just robots or something like that. That's a whole group in
Yeah.
itself too.
But Nick, what was interesting is that the FAA has actually published notice to airmen about activity in these areas,
Yes, of
which
course.
means that they know. So they can say all they want, but you can say, well, what about this notice? Oh, what notice?
Yeah, it's obvious U.S. based, because if not, they would have been shot out of the sky immediately.
yep.
You know what? You know what
Absurd
the
to think
largest
otherwise. I mean, these are flying over like constricted air zones. If you were up there in your little plane, you would have been
shot down.
blown to smithereens immediately. So it's not
Do you
anybody
know who the
falling for
largest
that is-
manufacturer of drones is in the world? Especially military drones?
No.
as a
Turkey.
country.
Turkey.
Oh,
So
They
then maybe
have-
these are turkeys flying.
I could be.
well, you know what they said in WKRP, as God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly.
Oh, what a great show.
That
Oh my gosh. Les Nessman.
Les Nessman. Yeah,
Yeah.
God is
So
my
what you're
witness.
saying, that this was all just something for Thanksgiving?
That's it.
It's a really late Thanksgiving.
It's Amazon
Times.
testing their new delivery system.
Or Domino's.
Oh, no.
Domino's.
Big fan of Domino's.
All right, let's talk about something that affects us. Says the
What are you talking
Department of
about, Amnon? This does affect us.
the Department of Government Efficiency, headed
Oh, yeah.
by Elon Musk and Vivek
Oh yeah, Dodge.
Ramaswamy, appears to be signaling its intention to tackle daylight saving time.
Mm-hmm.
Musk has
Good luck
indicated
with that.
support for ending the semi-annual clock, and since then I read another thing that says that Trump also said something about it.
You did.
Yeah, he
Supporting.
tweeted out.
The
Yeah.
question is, which one will they pick?
Which what?
Standard time,
What's the-
permanent,
that
or
makes no
daylight
diff-
savings time
Who
permanent?
cares? As long as we don't have to change.
You have people voicing
Well,
very
no, it is
specific
a big deal.
because of the
Ah.
over
What time
like
it
the
gets
effect.
dark?
Yes,
Yeah.
And what
that's
time it
true.
gets light.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kids could not go and work in the cotton fields it's just farmers are going to be devastated if there's no such thing. But it's interesting. So they're going to try and tackle it. They said that it passed the House, or it passed the Senate a few years ago,
It did pass the
House.
House a couple of years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
Couple
Yeah.
of years, yeah.
It's a huge. There's some study. I don't have it in front of me, but there was a study a couple of years ago of how much there's a whole bunch of lost productivity surrounding,
Yeah.
say, switching the clocks for a couple days on either side. It seems kind of irrelevant at this point. I don't know. Maybe
There
not.
were part of that study was looking at kids, different ages, and how time changes affect them, and also how younger kids don't need as much sleep as teenagers do, and how interesting it is that teenagers go to school early and other kids go to school later, where it really should be the opposite. The teenagers should go to school earlier, and the young kids. Oh no, the young kids should go to school earlier, and the teenagers later.
The hell with that. It kills us. Nobody's taking us into consideration.
Oh, when I
Who
was
is who is us?
Yeah, the older generation. Yeah, I know,
Yeah,
Nick.
Well, that's why I didn't know who
you're-
us was.
Yeah.
Us could be men. Us could be. I mean, there's a whole. Who is us? People that That's you got to clarify. Why does it kill you, Amnon?
I can't stand it when the time. I mean, when we gain, it's fine. But then when you go back to the spring, jeez, it takes days to get used to it.
I think we live in the United States of America, and everybody needs to choose their own time zone, and it'll be
Hey.
okay.
Do you
I
know
can't stay-
what caused the country to get time zones?
The train system.
Train system, because of scheduling
I-
trains.
I still don't understand which state. There's a state or a
Arizona.
couple of states. Arizona.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're. I mean, they have to, even though they don't have it, they have to work with it because everybody around them and everybody in the country
Yeah.
has it. So it's not like you go to work one day and you can call your office in New York at 8 in the morning, but then when the time changes, no, you can't do that anymore. So you might as well stay home because it's closed.
There's some
so-
places in the
Yeah,
world
but
that
remember Arizona, right? West Coast. So if you notice West Coast in general,
Mhm.
right? Everything works in much earlier times because they need to communicate with the East Coast all the time. So
Yeah, I mean, you'll just, you bring
Yeah.
it. So even if they
Yeah.
have to work with California, Arizona and California, you still
Arizona
have an
and
hour.
California, they don't work together. Come on.
Oh.
I heard that California is going to outlaw the clock. That there'll be no more time anymore. You just do
I could
whatever
s-
you want to do whenever you want to
Only,
do it.
but it will only work in designated areas.
That's right.
John is saying they should not change time, just change schedules. So,
This week you're on a 30-hour, you're on a 60-hour week, you're on a 40-hour week, and you're on a 20-hour week.
But going back to what Spence mentioned, I mean,
Yeah.
wow, that's from the time zone perspective. Why did you have time zones? And obviously, I still think you need time zones. Then obviously, the sun travels and it becomes brighter and different times based on that. But from the daylight savings perspective, it does seem rather trivial at this point.
It was done, I think the first time they did it was during World War II.
No, I
World-
think it was
World
earlier
War
than
One,
that. World
'Cause
War
it was
One,
done. It
definitely.
was done for the reasons of producing arms and things like that, and
Correct, yeah.
productivity originally.
yeah, farmers.
Did you know there are some places around the world that are a half hour different?
I
Yeah.
did know that.
In
Yeah.
India.
It's in India. Is that where it is?
Yeah.
That's
Worked with them,
mess up your
so
travel.
I know.
I was thinking when I was reading this, I was saying, okay, so now what happens to computers and things like that? And people forget that you can go into the BIOS and change and say adapt for time zones.
Oh,
and or
operating
don't.
system updates will take care of that. The
Yeah.
offline
Oh,
stuff
yeah,
is
that's
what you
true.
worry
Well, it's
about.
in the BIOS. Yeah.
No, it's not in the BIOS.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the operating system controlling it. It saves it
True.
in the
Yeah.
BIOS. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It'll.
It'll create an industry like Y2K.
Ooh, we can make some real cool stickers, things of that nature.
All right. So Walmart said last week that it had completed its 2.3 billion all cash acquisition of TV maker Visio, a
Good.
move by the retailing giant to expand its advertising business. Visio is out there in force. I mean, you go to any store and they have Visio TVs, Visio different
Sound bars.
sound
Yep.
bars, yeah. And that's amazing. Walmart, you know.
Well, one thing I read said that it was to help them secure a supply line of televisions also that they can control. So they have their in-house brands. What is it? Onan,
ONN, yeah.
ONN, and there was one other brand that they sell a lot of. I can't remember what the name of it is. But this way
Something Insignia,
Insignia,
something like
yeah,
that. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
it. Yep.
Signia's Best Buy.
Oh, it is.
It is.
There's
Yeah,
no
ONN
Kirk-
is their
Huh.
ONN is their brand.
Yeah.
And they of course sell TCL and some of the other cheap brands as well. I don't know that does ONN make TVs though?
They might just be accessories. I don't know.
I think
I'm not
actually they
do. No, they make
They do?
monitors because I have one of their monitors.
Oh, okay. Then they probably make
Yeah.
TVs, yeah.
Well, in any case, it's interesting to see how things are kind of like
I
rearranging
mean,
themselves.
I'm just wondering. So I understand that this will give them, they will tap into the data stream that comes from smart TVs, right?
Mhm.
That part I understand. Uh, the thing is, Visio's smartness in TVs, right,
Sucks.
is right. It's very very basic. It doesn't compete with Roku, doesn't compete with Amazon, um, Apple, right? All of that. So I'm wondering what's Walmart take on it. Like, are we going to see the Walmart brand now on these TVs? What else are they? Uh, Walmart did have a streaming service, but I think they did away with it, right? Voodoo.
They owned Voodoo?
Long time
I
ago.
didn't know that.
Or they had like an agreement with them for a very long time. I remember that at one point it was shut down. I don't know if it was Voodoo, right? So don't get me. But I remember the service was shutting down, and I remember, I don't know, purchasing something. Then I had an account, so I got the notice, right? And so that
Hmm.
whatever credits I had in that service will go away, and this and this. I never bought there or anything, so I never lost rights for anything. So,
I
but I
wonder.
do remember that happening.
I wonder what Visio can capture if you're not using the in onboard apps.
That's
For all
exactly
the
what
different.
my question was going to
You
be.
just use an HDMI port to plug in your smart device, and do
Yeah.
they collect anything? I mean, otherwise, if the only thing you're using outside of that is the over-the-air antenna.
I don't
So,
think Walmart is stupid enough that they will pay that kind of money if they didn't know, hey, this
I'm
can
sure they
really
do.
help us.
Yeah.
So
Oh no,
who
it's not
knows?
about being stupid. It's about us trying to understand the
Yeah.
motives, right? Yeah.
They're going to have built-in Walmart ads with everything on the television.
They already have that though. I mean,
You
if
turn
you
on
are
the TV and they're going to show you an ad for something at Walmart.
if you now, as Gal noted, the smart TV-ness on the Visios is not amazing. Now, I'll admit the newest Visio I have is about 4 years old. So it's possible that it's significantly improved. Um, But it's called smart. It's called It's called Watch Free. That's like the whole ecosystem for the smart stuff within Visio. Um, you get ads on that. If you accidentally go to that input and let your TV quote unquote go to sleep, you'll see ads. And it'll be it's no different than the Roku splash screen when that goes to sleep and it's ads and things like that.
Hmm, interesting.
Yeah,
Stayed
speaking
on
speaking of
Those
ads, I watched a series on Prime Video, right? And they have ads now on some of them. So one thing I did notice is if the ads are coming in the middle of the show, and it's going to be a batch of like 4 ads. It says like 4 minutes, 4 ads. It starts counting down. If you stop the stream and you start again, it starts after the ad. So
That's convenient.
yeah,
Oh,
that was great. If it's at the beginning, they usually put a 1 or 2 ads, shorter ones at the beginning. That one you cannot skip. It's like if you'll stop, you'll get another one, sometimes a longer one. So yeah. So for now, there's a hack. I don't know uh, if they'll stop that, but for now, it's possible to just skip the ads by just stopping, like shutting down the hitting stop and then uh, playing
story.
again.
since they listen to the show, now they know when they're going to fix it.
Oh yeah, they know everything.
Oh, Nick, shoot, Nick stepped up.
He'll be back.
I have a Visio TV that is in the throes of death, where I'm getting bright, like almost like a sun view on different spots on the screen.
Yeah.
And it's still okay. It's when you watch certain pictures that you see.
If they are dark.
It shows up more than other places, but usually it's just a little brighter area in the screen, but it's spreading.
So what
Um,
about what's the name of that TV that you got?
Oh, the Telly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just had an update. And I wouldn't say they're making huge strides in each new version of software that comes out, but they now have the availability on the screen, on the bottom advertising screen. There's a small section over to the right that actually lets you select an A or B button from the remote to go to that specific ad that puts it up on the big screen. That's new. They did always have over
So
there
an
QR
ability
codes
to
you could
interact with the ad specifically.
you have you doesn't go there automatically, but the ad will appear, and it will say if you'd like more information about this ad, press A on the remote or B on the remote. And they did talk about they put out a newsletter every so often. They are working on some of the features. They've improved a lot of the operating features of the TV. Like the one complaint was in the beginning you couldn't turn off the bottom screen without turning the whole television off, and because it still draws power. And now, if you do a long press on the power button, it shuts the whole TV off completely. And then when you start it, it has to actually boot up. It takes a while for it to start. So that was to answer people's concerns about power consumption. The picture is still excellent. Sound, they've made some improvements to the sound bar, and they are coming out with a multifunction remote. They haven't done it yet, but they will have a remote that will be able to control um,
The streaming box
Roku
that you have connected
and
to it, etc.
yeah, and Fire TV, which is good too. But other than that, I'm still trying to get to the point where I can move it downstairs because I don't have a piece of furniture I can put it on. And I did buy something at Habitat that matches my furniture that I have now that I'm going to use, but we've got to clean out all the cabinets that hold stuff there. We'll
Oh,
get there. I was
talking
just
about
mentioning, Nick, about my Visio TV is dying with screen issues.
Yeah, I have 3 Visios. My first one is from probably 2012, 2011. Um, sits out in the garage. When I play darts, it does that. Then I've got a Visio in my office here and a Visio in the living room. It's the only TV I'll buy. Been very happy with them.
nice.
They're cheap enough. They have enough ports, and they're always on sale. I mean, that's the other thing too, is like they're no matter when I bought my one in the living room when I moved in July of 2020, and I don't remember what I paid for it, but it probably wasn't the $300, maybe a little bit more.
But all three of them now cost about $10 more, right?
Well, why? Because of YouTube TV.
Yeah,
Those
sure.
those dirty bastards. Oh, I'll tell you, those bastards. They're. Here's the one thing that I don't think people understand about cable. And you say, why is even the streaming service? Why is cable so expensive? In the cable realm, unlike bandwidth, right? Let's talk about like streaming a video on YouTube or whatever. YouTube's only paying for bandwidth if you're actively watching a video and you're using resources. In the cable realm, if a cable provider carries your channel, if we carry Gall TV on and offer that to our subscribers, Gall charges us a flat fee per subscriber, whether they watch the channel or not. And that's because
Yes,
with
but
traditional cable, there was no way to, not a really good way to view those statistics. It's a one-way avenue. I
so
suspect as YouTube and these other services grow, that model will change and it will go to a pay if people are watching kind of subscription because it's not practical.
what you're saying is right until DVRs entered the realm, because then they did have the ability to start tracking what the people were watching.
They didn't use
Right?
it.
Yeah,
They didn't use it to bill
They
you.
didn't use it to
yeah, yeah.
pressure the cost. I agree, but they did have the data, and they
Yes.
never did anything with it.
They used that to replace Nielsen boxes.
Yeah.
Or ratings.
Any way you look at it, to raise the price by $10, did we hear about any service that raised it at once by
Oh, they did it
$10?
before, but it's not the first time that
Hulu
they
did this
Oh, really?
years ago. This is probably 2017, 2018. I
Hmm.
had Hulu. It was like $45 a month and it went to 50 or 55 in one bill period.
That's that to me that sounds like arrogance.
It's not arrogance. It
That's
turns out that it's really expensive to operate a cable system.
Yeah, but
And that's what YouTube TV is.
yeah.
I mean, for example, YouTube or
S-
ESPN is the example that everybody uses. ESPN charges cable providers something like and YouTube TV is a cable provider,
Mhm.
something like $1.30 per subscriber to the service. That's
So
a lot of money.
so you're saying if they sell it to 1,000 people,
Yes.
then they have to pay 1,000
Well,
something
no,
to
it'd be a little over $100.
not if it's $1
I'm
per.
sorry. Yes, correct. Yeah, it's like $1.30.
And
Correct.
if
So
none of these people are using it, they still have to pay it.
correct.
Yes.
That's how cable works.
Jeez. Wow.
ESPN is the most expensive cable channel for systems to carry, and it's been like that since they've existed back in the 90s, I guess, or late 80s whenever ESPN came out.
And
There's a reason Disney bought them. Let's put it this way,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So, Nick, I was asking you an email. What are you getting? Why are you paying for YouTube? It's obviously not for the
Well,
whole
I'm not,
service.
which is great.
What?
I said, well, I'm not paying for it, which is great. My lovely father and mother have YouTube TV.
Oh yeah, that's true. So
um
if you will get it, or if people buy it,
I wouldn't
for what
pay
purpose?
for it myself.
No, for what
What?
purpose? Why?
Local channels.
No,
Local
not
channels you
channels.
can do
No,
with
no.
antenna.
To watch cable TV. The only reason that you subscribe to these services is to get cable television.
Well,
I
doesn't
mean,
YouTube TV give you broadcast network TV?
it does, but that you can watch for free with an antenna.
But
True.
are there any channels on it that nobody else provides other
Yes,
than cable that
correct.
you have to go. There are.
Live sports, CBS
Oh,
Sports Network, ESPN, Fox Sports Network,
okay.
MLB
Okay.
Network, Golf Channel, all of those properties, and that's real. I mean, that's what drives. And there's an interesting change going on here. We I don't know if we talked about this on the show. This is many, many months ago at this point, but there is a regional sports network called I'm trying to remember what it used to be called. It used to be like Fox Regional Sports, and then it became Bailey's Sports Network. In the NBA, they are moving local NBA games from cable systems to local over the air channels within the market that you live. Um, and so these live sports are moving to essentially over the air channels. In If you live in New Orleans, you can watch the Pelicans on whatever channel over the air. That's why people are paying for sport or for cable. You're either It's either live sports or the mix of Hallmark Channel and HGTV and the Food Network. It's pretty much one of those two things that is the reason you're subscribing.
Yeah, I know that Katie asked to be on our Plex server because she could watch the Hurricanes when they are playing, I guess when they're playing local, because it's over the air on channel 50.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is going to continue to happen.
Yeah, but I mean, this is just because people don't want to put an antenna. She could put it because that's how we get it is
Well, yeah,
antenna.
but she also is not paying for it to use your Plex. So,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
and I'll tell you
Interesting.
what, the one thing I was talking to my dad about this, because we chatted about this on whatever it is was Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever. Um, the ease of use, and I even mentioned this in our little group chat
Yeah.
that we were in. The YouTube TV is a phenomenal service. It is. I have watched cable TV shows all over the place on my phone. The stream quality is great, even on low bandwidth. YouTube's compression and algorithm allows you to stream with really limited network resources. It is just a phenomenal service. Um, you hate that the price is going up. Um, but in terms and Spectrum offers an app where you can watch away from home. It's garbage. It doesn't work very well. It's not meant for that. They want you to be sitting in front of a television and watching.
Hmm.
But YouTube is built like that.
I've thought
Interesting.
about when Spectrum started off with they really never offered a la carte. They offered bundles, but
Bundles,
the
yeah.
bundles were just as expensive as getting regular television. It didn't help.
Yeah, because you're still
Yeah.
paying that subscriber
Yeah.
fee.
Yep.
So that market will eventually change. I mean, you're seeing the outside of sports, I think even in cable news, you're starting to see the erosion of subscription-based cable television. Um, there will eventually become a point where the people offering the channels to the cable providers will have to change because it will no longer be feasible to
For
to
yeah,
charge
it
that
won't
amount.
be
Nobody will be able to pay for it.
right.
It's just not going to be practical.
Yeah. Yep. Oh.
And they're also,
Uh,
by the way, YouTube's also probably trying to recap the $1 billion that they spent to secure the NFL Sunday ticket from DirecTV, which they charge $300 a year for on top of your now $82 a month subscription, which my lovely father also pays for. Appreciate that, Dad. Thank you. Uh,
all right. So um, another development. Leaders of the U.S. House of Representatives Committee on China told Apple and Google's parent Alphabet to prepare to remove TikTok from U.S. app stores on January 19th, following a federal appeals court decision upholding legislation requiring Chinese based ByteDance to divest the platform or face a ban.
By the way, before we move on to that, before you,
Okay,
I
yeah, go
comment
ahead.
on that. I
Yeah.
just looked up how much ESPN charges cable providers. I was way off. It's $5.54 per subscriber.
Wow.
So very expensive. That's why it's really expensive to operate a cable system.
Jeez.
So out of your $72 a month subscription that you pay to YouTube, $5.50 of that is immediately gone to ESPN. Disney charges $1.15. NFL Network's $1.13. It's very expensive to operate cable system. So
And this
Wow,
is, remember,
Wow.
these are channels that the provider gives you, but they're littered with ads. So
Yes.
they also have an ad revenue on top of that,
Mhm.
right? It's not as if you're doing us a
Right.
favor
Yeah.
by just adding that into the roster, right? So, ugh.
Well, and it's such a popular channel that if you are a legitimate company offering service and you don't have ESPN, why are you shouldn't operate a cable system. Like that's a must-have basic cable channel.
And ESPN does not sell directly to customers, right?
They do with some stuff now, but it's not everything. It's through Disney Plus. Because since those are all the same thing now, you can pay for some parts of ESPN, I think, but I don't know if you can pay for the entire
Package.
catalog.
Oh.
Yeah, but I wonder if there's like a cheaper per month payment that you can go with, and let's say pay that $300 for but that's YouTube only right now.
Correct. Yeah.
Nick, how
so
many
that's the problem.
how many subscribers does YouTube TV allow on one?
You can have up to, I think, 6 family members on your account.
Really? And it's
But
cost the
they-
Yeah,
same?
but they're supposed to be in the same household.
Well, they are, and there are ways
Yeah.
around that.
Yeah.
But a very easy, I'll note, very easy ways around it.
I agree. It's not the
But it's a
yeah.
per stream limit. So if multiple people are watching at the same time, you will get a notice that your account is over the threshold for watching.
Well, 6
content.
streams is a lot.
It's not
great.
6 though. I think it's you can have 6 accounts. I don't think you can have 6 people watching at the same time.
So that's a excluding any, like if one person's watching, another person can't?
No, it's more than 1-to-1. I don't remember how many streams it is. It changes based on the plan you have. If you have the base plan, it's like maybe
Okay.
3 streams simultaneously, not including inside your household. It's really weird how the math works. And then
That's
if you have
what
like
those drones are doing. They're
if you
looking
have the
for people who
4
are stealing. That's it.
if you have the 4K update version, which I think is another $5 a month, you can watch unlimited streams within your house, and then the streams outside your house are limited at a couple per account. It's pretty peculiar.
Interesting.
It's not
So
something that I deal with.
If you set up a VPN and you watch through your house IP, then basically unlimited.
Correct, but there's no reason to set up the VPN.
No, I'm just talking about a bad actor,
Hypothetically,
right? Like,
yeah.
How what will they do then? Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not.
No, it's fine. So what about TikTok?
Well, Trump likes TikTok now, so I'm curious what he's gonna do.
It's interesting.
What is this? In what way does Trump like TikTok? Like what
He said
what,
that because he's popular on it now, and he understands it's a very useful tool to reach a demographic of voters that is very hard to a very coveted group of voters.
Okay.
What,
In
the
other words, he's learned how to
13-year-olds?
use it.
Yeah, 100%. He's paid somebody to learn how to use
Yeah.
the service.
Interesting.
And so now there's a incentive of having it.
And he's the one that started it
Well, he
with
did and
TikTok.
didn't. Yeah. Yes and no.
Interesting. Interesting. All
I
right.
mean, I don't think he started it, but it did start with the conservative groups, right?
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I'm I have zero opinion on it. I've used TikTok for a while. I stopped using it because it's just a time waste on my life. I am not producing anything on it, and it is very effective in capturing your attention. Um,
Yeah, but
Everybody that talks about whether it sways public opinion or not, I think what it does, it enhances whatever you feel. So it's an amplifier, right? It's not. I don't know how much sway it actually does have. I'm not saying it doesn't have at all. I'm just don't. I don't think it's as conscient, uh, as thoughtful as conspiracy theorists try to paint it.
It only
Uh,
affects Taylor Swift's fans.
Well, if you're a Taylor Swift fan, then whatever Taylor Swift
Is
says,
on.
that
That's
might
what you're going to
affect you.
watch.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but that's the thing. It's like it all depends on the people mostly, and not necessarily on the plot.
yeah,
But it is a very effective amplifier. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Absolutely.
And
I want to ask you something you just mentioned. Though. You mentioned conspiracy. I don't know that it's conspiracy. I've never used TikTok for the record. I don't know that it's conspiracy that the right was originally so up in arms about. I think it's got. I mean, we were just
No, I'm
talking
not
about it with.
talking about that. I'm not
What's the
talking about that.
conspiracy part then?
I'm talking about the voices outside of this conversation. So the conversation that the government had were actually, some of them were driven by misunderstanding completely, but some of it was driven by legitimate concerns, right?
For
The same
children.
way the EU, yeah, the same way the EU started to control how data about their citizens is being
Correct.
controlled. The US needs to do that as well. That part I have zero qualms with, and I understand that part. And for sure, if you are a high official or in the government or in the military, and you have an app that literally tracks you and tracks every aspect uh, of your interaction with it, and on top of that, the app is really effectively addictive, right? Then of course, then you need to do something about it. But the thing is, the focus really needs to be on not necessarily where the app is or how the app works and what it does, and should it even be a public service, right? Should it be even available? What happened is TikTok came on the scene, was extremely successful, and all of the other services today are basically mimicking it. So yeah, so I don't need TikTok anymore because I have YouTube Shorts, right?
Mhm.
It's like, and yes, it's not as effective. It's not working as good right now. It will be better at doing that eventually. Um, so a real discussion also needs to be about the effectiveness of these apps in general, right? The US based ones, the EU based ones, and not just the China based ones. That's all. They're all unhealthy for us, right? So maybe we need a like on the cigarettes, the attorney general, not attorney general.
Yes. Well, it was the warning
uh,
label. Yeah.
yeah, like a warning. Yeah.
we're forgetting one thing that's like hitting close to home. Katie depends on TikTok. It's a lot of her business depends on it.
Yeah.
Right, but that's
And
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 I understand that, but that is also part of the problem, right? Let's if Amazon started providing a service like this, let's say because they don't have such a video platform, let's say with YouTube, okay?
yeah,
Amazon steps in and says, "We'll take care of all of your shipping needs.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Even with TikTok, it is clear that this is limited in time because they are building their business. They are building a competitive business against an Amazon, right? Against the Tamu, against AliExpress, right? But also against Amazon, specifically in the U.S. market.
And to
So,
some extent against Etsy.
and Etsy, yes,
Yeah.
yes. So they are definitely. It's clear that it's limited in time, and Katie knows that, right? She's just making use of it as long as she can, but she also understands that at one point, right? That that switch Nick got from 1 month to another, got the bill upcharged by $10 a month, right?
Hmm.
Katie is waiting for that moment where TikTok is going to say, starting in 3 months or in 6 months or whatever, you're not going to get that service anymore, and
Right.
you need to cover the shipment.
Yeah.
Or you start subscribing to it, to our service to get. You're going to need to pay $100 a month or $300 a month or whatever, right? In order to get the service that you've got for free up until now. So that will happen.
That's like
So
the neighborhood
is it
pusher.
terrible that Katie is going to lose her stream of income? Yes, it's terrible, right? But we are not talking about the individual contributions here. We're talking about a system that has so many flaws around it,
Hmm.
right? That
Well,
yeah.
I mean, she did say, she said, well, if they close them, then I still have Etsy to go
Yeah.
with. So
Well,
she's, yeah,
And suddenly her crowd will find her at
yeah.
Etsy or Instagram or whatever will move the people there, right? So
let me throw this out at you though, and obviously it's a little bit of a different situation. But I don't see that situation for her any different than the guy that gets banned off YouTube, or the guy
It's
that gets
true.
his Patreon account suspended,
yeah,
or something like that. I mean,
Hmm.
it's this this is an issue whenever you are using somebody else's platform to generate income. We talked about this with the Unity video game engine for back a couple of months ago. How they've made some major changes to the way in which they bill people that make video games inside their engine. When you build, and this is not a criticism, it's just a fact of the matter. When you build on top of somebody else's platform, they have you by the balls, and if they decide to change something about the agreement that they have with you, they can do that at any point in time. And you're pretty much SOL unless there's enough public backlash to make them change it. I mean, you are wholly owned by them if you're using them as a revenue generator.
Hmm.
And that's it. And that's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. Well, it is a good
It's
thing.
a fact.
But it's the fact of using somebody else's platform. And let me be clear, the solution to this is not go build your own TikTok and whatever. No, it's you have to diversify. Like Katie even mentioned. Okay, I'm going to start I got Etsy, I got whatever other
Hmm.
online services I can sell my products on. It's the reason Amnon's streaming on 16 different CDNs this morning. Have your product available in more than one place if something goes away. And that's all you can do, right? And ride it while it's hot. Ride it while it's hot.
Yeah. No. I mean, it's obvious.
I mean, there's no difference than getting if you're a content creator, getting your Facebook account or YouTube account banned, which
Yep.
happens all the time
Yep. It does.
with very little, in many cases, very little recourse.
It's almost no recourse. Ask me
well,
how
I
I know.
mean,
Yeah.
you can say very little recourse, but then there's that guy who came up with the shotgun and killed like 2 YouTube employees. So
Oh, well.
Well, I guess that's true. Didn't get
All
his
right.
channel back though.
Talking about all
Ah.
these platforms. So this article goes, nearly half of American teenagers say they are online constantly, according to a new survey by the Pew Research Center. The report was based on survey of 1,400 U.S. teens ages 13 to 17 conducted from September 18 to October 10, 2024. To say I'm online, and it's not like, yeah, I mean, I can say I'm online 24/7 because I've got the phone in my pocket and under my pillow and whatever, and it's on. So if something happens, I can get. But that's not what they're talking about. They're talking about people that are on it, and you see kids everywhere, wherever they are. They sit, and the phone is right in their face.
Yep.
Yeah, but I think
It's
it's also some of the other part of that too.
what part?
That you're carrying around a
Oh
phone
yeah,
and that
yeah, okay,
at
yeah,
any point in
yeah,
time you can open it up and scroll
true,
through,
yeah,
scroll through
yeah,
Twitter or
yeah,
Facebook or whatever.
yeah. And
I mean, Amnon,
who
when did we first start hanging out? Is that 2014?
in there? No, it was before then.
Okay. Well, let's just use
Yeah,
2014 as
yeah,
an example. 10 years ago. At that point, I was always online. I was a teenager. I had a smartphone
yeah. But
with
but
so
you
I
were
mean,
going to school and not, and for
well,
hours you
some of
wouldn't.
these kids too. I mean, they're
Yeah,
going to school too, and they're always online at school because guess what? They're sitting on a freaking Chromebook doing
yeah,
schoolwork.
true.
So
Yeah,
they are in fact always online.
yeah, yeah. I'm sure. I mean, all these. Uh,
All I hear is, okay, we have an opportunity here. We can now open offline camps and start charging a lot for them. Uh, People are going to buy that experience.
Actually, really not a bad idea. There's a lot of land available in Western North Carolina
Exactly.
without cell phone service.
who's using Blu-rays? No,
Blue erase.
Blu-ray,
Blu-rays,
Blu-ray,
Blu-ray. You know the
Blu-ray.
Oh,
blue.
Blueray. No.
LG has discontinued all Blu-ray players.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw that.
Yeah.
From the get-go, when Blu-ray was announced after DVD, uh, that was pretty much the same time where I literally packed up all of my physical media DVDs
Uh-huh.
and gave them away. Like, I understood that I am no longer going to go with physical media for video, for audio. Um, I didn't think something like Spotify will be actually successful. So at that time, I would hoard also my music. Today, music is completely online, and I don't own it. I do have some copies of like very, very rare stuff that I've kept, but most of the stuff that I consume today is digitally. Um, right? Video is still mostly on my hard drive. Blu-ray, no, I never
Yeah.
saw the point. It's like it was a dead medium at the get-go.
It was so damn expensive too. Those initial Blu-ray players are what, like
It's just-
$1,000, and then the
It was
PlayStation
ridiculous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
new technology
PlayStation
starts
3
that
came
way.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but DVD players weren't that expensive when they first came out.
At
VHS
that
was. I
time,
agree with you.
when Blu-ray came out, you say PlayStation 3. That sounds about right.
Yes.
That is when I purchased my first home streamer, and
Oh.
it was called Popcorn Hour, I think.
I remember
Popcorn
that
Time or something
popcorn.
like
Yeah.
that. It was basically a small single board PC. This was before Raspberry Pis. It was basically like a single board system hooking up to HDMI that you could put in a hard drive in it, and it had a very, very rather primitive web-based interface that you could change the HTMLs. So people would theme it. There was like a community like that, and that was the first. That was when I realized that yeah, physical media is just it's redundant. It's like there's no need for that anymore. It won't last, and so even if I hoard and build I mean, this was I was adult enough that I could spend the money on building a substantial library of content like that. It's just it made no sense doing it on a physical medium, right? Hoarding the discs anymore.
Yeah.
So
Nick, this is for you to comment on. The FCC has opened up the entire 6 gigahertz frequency band to very low power devices alongside other unlicensed applications such as Wi-Fi kits. And it says the FCC said it has adopted extra rules to allow very low power devices operating, and they get into all the frequencies and stuff. Did you come across that piece of news? Does it what does it
I did
mean to
not.
us?
It doesn't.
Okay.
It's got no sizable
Okay.
or meaningful impact.
Just low power FM.
No,
It's
no,
for
no.
for
It's
Wi-Fi
low
and stuff like that.
Oh,
something about the 6 gigahertz frequency.
Yeah. I mean, this is
that's even
the
shorter distance than 5.
yeah, this is going to, as every single device that you own, literally every single device you own transmits some level of RF, and most of it being scattered between the 2.4 and 5 gigahertz bandwidth. You're gonna have to continue to grow the spectrum because these bands are just too clogged. Eventually we'll get too clogged with, especially in super dense areas. You go to places like New York City, high-rise apartments and things like that. You can imagine what those networks look like in those areas. It's got to be pretty crazy.
Back when Nortel had the contract for the New York Stock Exchange trading floor, they needed to come up with a way to make 2.4 work for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of close by devices. And they came up with the Pico cell technology, which was tiny transmitters located everywhere that had fast handoffs. So people could walk across the floor and the devices would automatically switch between small,
Yeah, like
tiny
cell
access points.
phones.
Well,
Like
this
cell
was on a very
towers.
small,
Yeah.
very, very congested, small,
Right.
high data rate basis. And it worked. But
I mean,
it was not practical to be used anywhere else except a high density area. So
we're still doing it today with Wi-Fi access points. You put them in different places and they hand off, and
well, the handoffs have improved. That's what
yeah. But I mean, the idea, the theory behind
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. But
That's
I don't
fast
know.
handoff they call it. And that's what Nortel actually pioneered back. This is 15 years ago or more.
Well, that's interesting, and
Today,
I
you
guess
can use just different manufacturers and set the same SSID as
Mhm.
you walk through, but the handoff doesn't happen quickly. If they're talking to each other, like TP-Link has their proprietary protocol, if you set them up and turn it on all their routers, they'll do fast handoff as you move around the
Mhm.
location.
I was real surprised at that Ubiquity access point. God, Marshall got
but it
what?
but I looked at the page, the Amazon page for it, for
Mhm.
example, and it clearly states that no power supply is
Correct. Yeah,
provided.
he
Yeah,
sent it to me, and it
yeah.
showed it. So Marshall got one
Mhm.
because the wireless in the office was not good. So he called and he said it doesn't work, and he said there's some. I said, "Are you sure that it's hooked to power?" And then when I read it, says that it requires PoE,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and I told him which PoE to get, which switch to get. I said, "Look, don't get just a 5, get an 8, put it in the computer room, and this way, if you have another one, something else that you need, you would have ports." Well, he went and bought locally a Netgear, and it says it didn't work with that either. After I read what it said
It
about
didn't
that
push enough
Netgear,
Was
current,
there a
probably.
specific
Yeah.
wattage required?
no, it's
No?
4 PoE and 4 non-PoE.
No, but I mean,
No,
what
no,
PoE has
that's
different levels of power.
You're talking
Yeah.
about the Ubiquity 8
I'm
ports.
talking. Yeah, I'm talking about the
Yeah.
switch. The
Yeah, it's
switch
4 and 4,
was
right?
not 8 across like
I
the
know.
the
It's 4 and
TP-Link.
4.
Yeah, it's 4 and 4.
That's pretty
So
common, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have
I don't
that.
know. The
I
one
actually
that
told you that
I told him to
when
get
we
the
were.
I told him to get the TP-Link because I read and it says 4. I mean 8 PoE 1 gigahertz ports.
Yeah.
So he obviously, not knowing, he hooked it to one of the ports that was not. He
Yeah.
thought they were all the same. So he went locally and he bought an injector.
Okay.
And he said, yep, came right up and worked right up. He didn't have to do anything to configure anything in the Ubiquity
What kind of
access
router
point.
does he have?
I think it's
He's got to have a Ubiquity router.
No, he does not. Obviously, he does not.
No. The router gives DHCP, does all of the networking stuff.
Yeah.
The
It doesn't set
Ubiquity stuff
SSID, though.
only. Well, I don't know if maybe it's open by default and no password is required by default. So,
That's true.
so it'll say Ubiquity and it's open and you connect to it. But he does want a password, right?
He did not have to do anything. And me not knowing anything about Ubiquity, I said, okay, if it's working, that's fine. Because he would disconnect the Ubiquity and his signal went way, way down. And he would plug it again and it'd come way, way up. I mean, full.
Is this an access point?
Access point.
Yeah, it's just an access
Okay,
point.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not a router. It's not a system.
But
it's
still,
just
there's
an access.
SSID.
I know.
configuration
That's what
and,
I was
and
surprised
security.
that there was nothing that he needed to configure. Maybe it's just by chance that it was
It's not by
192.168.0 or 1 or whatever. It obviously they're doing some probing and say, okay, that's who we need to hook into.
Well, there's one option that I can think of. It's maybe the DHCP server, the router has Wi-Fi information embedded in that, and maybe there's like a handshake that says,
That's
okay,
Yeah.
I'm serving you, and maybe that information is processed that way.
Well-
What I can say about Ubiquity, right, is once things are hooked up correctly, right, it's very easy to configure and make changes across an entire network, right? You don't need to think about components. You think about network.
Well, you see,
So-
the thing that made me think that it's very nice that you don't have to configure, it did not come with any instructions, none whatsoever. And it was
everything's online.
sealed box.
Everything's online.
What?
Yeah, everything's online.
I will
All the
warn people,
instructions are
though,
online.
do not buy Ubiquity gear assuming you're going to plug it in and it's just going
Oh,
to
yeah.
work. Because
Yeah.
Ubiquity gear, like Cloud Keys, Dream Machines, there's a whole plethora of stuff if you're getting into the Ubiquity ecosystem that you need and want.
Well, he just got this access point. It solved his problem. He's happy.
That's fine. I would say buyer beware with that. Do not go to Amazon and buy a Ubiquity access point assuming you can plug it into your network and it's going to work.
Well,
'cause
it didn't
that's-
work, Nick. It wasn't plug and play.
That's true.
There
it
was a
wasn't.
week of strife and trouble and grief.
Yeah,
So-
with
so,
the
yeah.
PoE. Yeah.
but yeah, in terms so
What kind
let's
of
put it
router
this
does
way.
he have? Is it a
From
business
this point
router? or-
forward,
No, it's
he's not
it's
going to
a-
experience any issues. That's
It's-
pretty.
It's a regular Netgear home, the cheap routers.
I would love to scan that network and see what that thing is set up as. We have like 8% of the story right here.
Yeah. I don't know. It's he was happy, and that's
Hopefully it continues to work, because the fear with something like that is it's set up now. The next there's a power outage or something, or something changes and it's going to break, and there's not going to be any way to manage it or access it.
Did he install the Ubiquity app on his phone?
no. He did not do anything to add software configures or anything like that. It did not ask him.
No, no, I'm not asking for configuration. I'm talking for future, for tracking, for seeing whether things are connected. Then that's probably the
No.
first step that he should do, and it's install the app, because the app, when it's connected to the same network, it should detect the Ubiquity devices, and it should guide him through the any troubleshooting that he needs or
Well,
whatever.
you see, but here's the thing where it's a that's why I was impressed. We think about all those other things that need to happen. Here is an end
No.
user who's not technical, who got it, plugged it in, and everything worked. And he doesn't need anything else now, according to him.
Yeah, but you're missing something.
Oh, I'm
And that
sure there's a lot.
something is no, that something is he might be wide open for attack.
That is true too. I need to find. I need to.
Right.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah,
what we are thinking about.
yeah.
So maybe, I don't know, maybe, but uh you say there's no instructions. On the box itself, there's the QR code for the app, there's the QR code for the documentation, and those should not be disregarded. The fact that it didn't come on paper doesn't mean it's not there.
True. Yeah, I'll need to talk to him and tell him to.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because yeah, if it's so strong and somebody's outside the office is getting on it, and obviously it could.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's what needs to be determined. What
yeah.
one, whether he's secure, that's first, and the second is whether he can. Most of my fear comes from whoever is in his network already. Okay, not from outsiders. I don't, unless the Wi-Fi is completely open, right? And that needs to be determined. If you're saying that it's still using the same SSID and the same security, that's great. Um, but that needs to be determined whether it's secure or not.
But
And so
okay, all
some
right.
sort of configuration needs to be reviewed.
Something sounds weird about the way it's
Very.
working.
Well,
Something, yeah. Well, I'm
another
reading
thing,
now,
another
but
thing that happened to him in the office, and he called the day after. There was a power outage that lasted a few hours. It came on and off, on and off, on and off.
oh,
When it came back and everything, one of the computers will not come up.
Probably some boot issue.
And I told him to pull the power from the back of the computer and plug it in, pull everything else from it, and one at a time and do it. Nothing helped. Nothing. It won't do anything. And he was going to call the local techies. And the next morning, he called and he said that one of the girls fixed it. And I said, "How?" He said, "I don't know." I said, "Well, she needs to call me." And she said that all she did was press the power button twice. Not, she didn't mean to. It was just like click, click, kind of like, because you have to go under the disk and do it. And it came on. I told him to leave it on because the computer itself would come up because he said that the hard drive light was flickering every now and then, but there was nothing on the screen.
it's probably recovering from
That's what I told him.
crashing a couple of
Yeah.
times because the power went out.
So I said, leave it on and until it stops doing this and see if something. So he left it on for about an hour or more, and he said, no, nothing. It's not nothing on the screen. And she said she pressed it twice, and it came on. So it's just something to remember. I mean, next time I have a computer that does this, I will remember doing it and see. I don't see
Some,
why it would do that.
something about the soft start circuit on the power supply.
No, she just knew the password, right?
That's it.
The mailman always ring twice, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
Well,
There was a trick back when Nintendo Wii, if it sat for a while and it wouldn't power up, the way to fix it was to take and short between two terminals of the wire that comes out of the power supply, because if some capacitor would be retaining something. If you did that, it would work. I fixed that more
huh.
than once for people. Yeah. Oh, my Wii
Interesting.
stopped
That
working.
actually sounds like the US only version or something. It never happened in the EU version.
No,
Yeah.
I remember that I had a computer that sometimes the power supply will not come on, period. I mean, nothing. It's like it's dead. And you will unplug it from the wall or from the strip, no difference, and put it back. But if you unplug the same power cable from the back of the power supply and
Yeah,
plug it back in,
I remember having something like that,
yeah, it will
experiencing
come
something
on.
like
And
that.
it's what the hell? What in the
Yeah.
world? There's no
Some
logic.
charge that was still left just by the fact that the
Something.
wire was. Yeah, I know. I've seen it as well. It's
Yeah.
the voodoo of electricity.
Yeah.
Has anybody
Right.
looked at the 802.11 new standards? They've been around for a while, but they're implemented now. The 802.11 VKR, which is the roaming and fast handoff. Instead of working just on relative signal strength, now they're looking at the actual stream and the conversation between devices. Because if a part of the network gets too overwhelmed, it will automatically switch and do a query to see, is there a better access to this channel that I'm on by going to another AP? It's fascinating. I'm reading through the standard now. It's great.
Huh.
Not it's going to be available. Zyxel is making a router. Cisco has it in their commercial products. But Zyxel on the consumer front is going to have one that does it. Very interesting.
Okay, so it's not a standard yet.
No, it's a standard. It's
Yeah,
just
but I
being
mean,
implemented. Yeah, it's out there. People are building routers, not support it.
yeah.
It's just what the article I'm
All
reading
right.
is from a year
Anything?
ago.
Anything else? Nothing.
Mm.
I mean, it's time for us to end the show, I guess.
Oh, just about we were originally talking about the Cisco notice for people to strengthen their.
Google.
I'm sorry, not Cisco. Yeah,
Yeah.
Google. Yeah, about how that's some people are getting notices and some people are not prepared to do what they're telling you to do.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay, so the legit. You asked me about
Yeah.
the legit notice. The legit notice is this. It has to do with Google Maps, specifically with the timeline feature of Google Maps. So if you have a phone and Google Maps on it, uh, and you've answered yes on all of the questions way back when, then everything that has to do with location is tracked on your Google timeline. So if you go today to Google Time, if you just type in Google timeline, Maps timeline or something like that, you can see everywhere your account has registered location at, and you can basically track yourself throughout that time. Google is changing their default settings so that you can control how long that is preserved, because from up until now it has been until
Forever.
since the beginning of time, right?
Mm.
And now they're changing it, whether you can say, okay, just do it for 3 months. I think that's the default. So those notifications are being sent via email to your Gmail account, and when you open your Google Maps account, you'll see a notice at least once where it'll ask you the question. You can say answer later or give it the answer. Those are the legit ones. That's what's happening now. Do not, I don't care whatever happens, do not click on any link from any email that you get about this. The only thing you need to do is you need to open your Maps app on your phone and interact with it there. It's all about how the device is working, and that is the notice. That's also what the notice says. Okay, so that's the legit part. Spence, now you can tell the rest of the story.
Oh, so if you go out and do a search on this notice, you see lots of people suggesting what to do. And the most important thing they say ultimately is don't click on anything. But
Yeah.
to lead up to that, what they're saying is go in and make sure you have a valid, usable phone number and email recovery address. If you don't have that, or
not in Maps, in Google.
not in Maps, just in your Google account
Yeah.
in general, because of the types of hacks that are out there now where people are getting in and changing all your recoveries. Make sure you have a strong password, switch to passkeys if you can. I'm struggling with how to tell some people that I know how to do that. But the most important thing is to update and make sure that your backup. Now, what I do is I share my backup with someone else's phone and someone else's account, another email address, not my own. So if I have a problem, I can go to them. That's what I'm actually setting that up with my aunt today, who's 86. So, but important that make sure that you don't have a weak password. Make sure you have a good phone number and a good recovery email address that you can use if something happens and you lose your access.
Okay.
I mean, it's always good to do, but it seems like they're emphasizing that as like, these are the steps you need to take. I just have too many Gmail addresses. That's the problem. So,
All right. Good info. Anything else, guys? All right. So let's end the show. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Gal. Thank you, Spence. And I'm hoping that Katie is having fun this morning. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie and Donna, Dina, Mati, Eleanor, Sarid, Yaakov, and Yael. Thanks, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice self-computing. Back up your hard drive, update your virus scanner, and change any same passwords where you use them. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. Monday through Friday from 5 to 6 a.m., Nick hosts the Carolina Journal News Hour on WBT in Charlotte, 11:10 a.m. and 99.3 FM. Boy, my eyes. And it's also on YouTube. And Nick and Brian host the Infection podcasts every week on Twitch. That's for survival games and gaming news in general, plus some political stuff.
We just did our 500th episode, by the way.
Say it again?
So we just did our 500th episode on Tuesday. We started the show back in January of 2014. Check it out.
They've been working on it for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a huge
Yep.
waste of time,
Yep.
but we made it.
So just go and you can go to infectionpodcast.com and find out when is the live show that week. Or I don't, did you go into a certain day every week after?
No, just go to the website.
Okay.
Just go to the website and listen. There's
yeah,
no
and you
reason to
can
listen
go
live.
to the website and download
Yep.
all the podcasts, the recordings to listen on your own. Yep. All right. We'll see everybody next week. Bye-bye. Now, wait a second. Next week is... No, it's not Christmas yet.
Next week is Sunday.
Hmm?
Next week's the 22nd, a couple days
Yeah,
before Christmas.
Yeah, okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.